Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, we'll be talking about the World Bank, or the World Bank Group. Please remember to like and subscribe. Now let's get right into it. Fact 1. Created with the IMF. The IMF fund was created at the same exact time as the World Bank. However, they are two separate organizations. One was created for a specific purpose of alleviating poverty and making small loans, and that is the World Bank. The IMF, however, is a totally separate organization that is really used to foster economic growth and stability by providing policy advice and financing to the members of developing countries. The IMF even oversees exchange rates between countries' different currencies and provides short-term capital to governments. The IMF is really more like a central bank, if you will, whereas the World Bank is like a big lending institution for small developing countries or groups of people who need cash to better their economy. And so, even though they're both created at the same time, the World Bank and the IMF are totally different in their purpose and totally separate, distinct agencies. It's easy to confuse the two, but they're not the same. Alright, let's get into the next fact. Fact 2. Millennium Development Goals. As I mentioned in the previous section, the World Bank's most important objective is to provide small loans to alleviate poverty and help developing countries. There are 8 goals that it strives to achieve. The number 1 being eradicating extreme poverty and hunger, which is again what I mentioned their primary function. But there's also other functions or objectives such as achieve universal primary education, promote gender equality, reduce child mortality rate, improve maternal health, combat diseases, ensure sustainable environmental development, and finally develop a global partnership of development. There are many activities and objectives for the World Bank, and it's all really used to serve the greater purpose of making the planet a better place regardless of where the individuals live. If they happen to be born and be from a country that is extremely poor and needs development, the World Bank is here to step in and assist. But it is challenging though, because the World Bank is not unlimited money, and so it needs to be careful on who it loans its money to and if they'll ever be paid back. Alright, let's get into the next fact. Fact 3. The United States. The United States plays a huge role in the World Bank. This is obviously because the United States contributes the most to the World Bank. And because of the United States' contribution, it gets the most voting power as well as the leadership position of the President of the World Bank. The President of the World Bank has always been from the United States, with the exception of 2019 when Kristalina Georgieva from Bulgaria was the acting president. Of course, the permanent president is again someone from the United States. And so you can see the more power that the United States receives due to its massive funding of the World Bank results in them being able to control most of its functions and objectives. This may not necessarily be a good thing, because some developing countries may reject the Western style of government or capitalism. But in the United States perspective, everyone should follow those kind of ideology. And so it is a dilemma to see how the World Bank could be neutrally controlled. Alright, let's get into the next fact. 5 non-members. The World Bank composes of nearly all of the countries in the world, except for 5 members. The first up is Monaco. Monaco is not a member of the World Bank. And it makes sense because it is such a rich country that it may not want to help other countries. And it is a tiny country that they may not need international recognition. Another country that doesn't belong in the World Bank is Cuba. This is probably due to what I was mentioning earlier in the previous section, a conflict between the United States ideology and what the Cuban government wants. This really makes it difficult because the common objective is to alleviate poverty and spur economic development, but at the same time, the political ideologies need to align. Another country that doesn't want to be part of the World Bank is North Korea. And again, this is a country that doesn't want the United States to control everything. North Korea is a direct opponent of the United States and its ideology, and so North Korea does not contribute to the World Bank. Another small country, Andorra, is also not part of the World Bank. Alright, let's get into the next fact. Fact 5, multi-agency. So the World Bank is actually a group of agencies. The World Bank itself isn't a bank that it has money. In fact, the World Bank's responsibilities and funds are separated into multiple agencies. The most important one is the International Development Association, or the IDA. I believe the IDA controls most of the funding of the World Bank, and it is through this IDA agency that it makes most of the loans. There's also other agencies such as International Finance Corporation, Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and so forth. You should not think World Bank as a single bank like Wells Fargo or something, but more like a conglomerate business where it has multiple smaller agencies pursuing various objectives per the Millennium Development Goals, and each agency has its own power to make their own decisions on funding small loans or how to spur economic growth in particular countries. I think it is good to separate out responsibilities and objectives so that they could be laser focused on achieving what they need to do. That's it for my video today. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.